Hey, this is Cameron McKenzie at CameronMCNZ on Twitter, and I wanted to talk to you about GitHub Pages and specifically how to get started with GitHub Pages and start hosting your own website for free. Now, here's a fun little website that I created probably 15 years ago all about how Springfield in The Simpsons is based on Pickering, Ontario, and I haven't hosted it in a long time. So I just downloaded the site. Looks like a couple of little errors here and there, but I wanted to host it, and I thought I might host it over on GitHub using GitHub Pages. So how would I do that? So the first thing you need to do is you need to go over to GitHub and sign up. So I'm going to go Pickering is Springfield as the username. Pickering is Springfield at mcnz.com. And throw in a little password and sign up for GitHub. Little verification is required, so I will pick the Spiral Galaxy and I will join for a free plan. I'll answer the required questions, and then after doing all of this, I will then go into my email, and here we go. There is GitHub asking me to verify my account. I'll paste that URL in here, and there we go. We now have a GitHub account. With the user account created, it's time to create a repository. Now, if you just created your user account, you may have this join page, but if you've got an existing account, you'll probably have to go to your repositories page and create a new repository here. I'm going to hammer on that new button, and I'm going to create a new repository. Now, this repository has to have the exact same name as the owner. The owner's name here is Pickering is Springfield. That name has to be exactly the same as the username, and it has to end with github.io. I owe everybody something. I owe the bank, I owe the mortgage company, but it has to be that. It has to be your username.github.io. If you don't do it like that, the GitHub Pages will not work. I'm going to add a readme to the file, make sure that it's public, create the repository. Also notice it says here, this will set main as the default branch. Main is replacing master on GitHub in order to be culturally sensitive and historically sensitive as well. That's a good thing. However, it's a bad thing for GitHub Pages, because if I go to settings here, notice this settings link at the top. I'm going to hammer on settings and I'm going to scroll down to GitHub Pages, and I doubt this problem will exist after November, December 2020, but it exists right now, and you will notice that GitHub Pages are being hosted on the branch master, which doesn't exist. They may as well be hosted on Marge, because without a master branch to host those files, nothing's going to work. I have to go in here and switch to the main branch. There is no master branch. Now you can create it. If you create it and put HTML pages there, it will work. Or you can switch to main, and that will work. But if you don't do one or the other and click save, your pages will not work. So make sure the branch that you create exists. The branch that is hosting your GitHub Pages exists. If it doesn't, create it or switch it. Now, something else that will happen is if you add GitHub Pages or you start working with GitHub Pages later on, sometimes the branch name will be gh-pages. GitHub will create that for you. So always make sure you are on the correct branch when you are creating pages. So I'm now on the main branch. Life is good. This will work. I am now going to go back to code. I'm going to create a file right off the bat, and I'm going to just call this file .nojekyll. They say this is a good idea to create if you're just hosting static pages that do not use the Jekyll framework for managing your templates and your layouts. So I'm going to put a file named nojekyll there to indicate to GitHub that this is just static pages. And then I'm going to create another file, and I'm going to call this index.html, and this will be the world's worst. It will be the world's worst HTML page, because it won't even have a starting HTML tag. It won't even have a body tag, but it should be good enough to get this application to work, to get GitHub Pages to work, and to be able to prove out that, well, things are working properly. So there we go. pickeringspringfield.github.io matches the username. Right here on the README page, it actually tells me what the link is going to be to get to my GitHub pages, pickeringspringfield.github.io. And if I do /index.html in the browser, I should come to my HTML page. Now, I am filibustering and talking and chatting, and the reason I'm doing that is because it usually takes a few minutes for your HTML pages to get incorporated. So I'm going to paste that in there, /index.html, and all of a sudden, hello world, this is my GitHub page, and GitHub pages are working. Isn't that awesome? Now, if you just wanted to see how GitHub pages work, you could exit right there. But I've got this Pickering is Springfield website that I want to host over on GitHub Pages. Here are all the files on my local machine. You can see them right there, lots of stuff. I want all of these files to be hosted in GitHub, including this new index.html file. How do I do it? Well, what I do is I go back to GitHub, and under code, I see this link here for code once again. Seems redundant. I click on this little icon to copy my GitHub URL. So I copy that. Then I go into this temp folder I created. You could create any folder. I'm going to open up bash, and then I'm going to run a git clone command. Git clone, and then I'm going to paste that URL in, and that will then clone my entire repository. I do an ls command. You can see I've got my Simpsons folder, and I've got Pickering is Springfield. I'm going to cd into Pickering is Springfield, so you can see I'm now inside the Pickering is Springfield folder. I could do a git branch command. Tells me that I'm on main. Notice there's no master anymore. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the files from my Simpsons website, copy them all, and then paste them. Notice the old index.html is there. I'm going to paste all the new files in there. Do you want to replace that index.html? Yes, I do. That's the heart of my Pickering is Springfield site. All of the files are now there inside that new repository on my local machine. I have to do a git add command. I need to do a git commit-m. Pickering is Springfield will be the commit. A git push origin. This will push all those files back to the server. Pickering is Springfield is the username, and the password I have to type in. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but I'll type that in, and that will push all of those files back to the server. If I go back to my GitHub account, notice right now in GitHub I've got 1, 2, 3 files. If I do a refresh here, bang, you can see my entire website has now been moved up to the server with all the folders, the subfolders, the files, even that cool index.html file, which represents my good old Pickering is Springfield page. With that done, I should be able to come over here to this index.html file. I'm going to check to make sure that that all worked properly. It did. I will come to the new index.html file, click enter to refresh the page, and there we go. My Pickering is Springfield website is now hosted over on GitHub Pages. And there you go. That's how easy it is to get your own web page, your own static web page hosted over on GitHub Pages. And there you go. That's how easy it is to use GitHub Pages. Now, if you enjoyed this tutorial, why don't you head over to the serverside.com. We've got lots of great tutorials over there on Git, GitHub, and everything to do with enterprise software development. If you're interested in my antics, you can follow me on Twitter at CameronMCNZ and subscribe on YouTube.